Have you ever wondered how most black pastors make their money? Is it through tithes and offerings, or is there something more? Some of them have turned the pulpit into a business empire, but how do they really make this money? Stay tuned as we uncover 10 of the richest black pastors, exposing the business behind their ministries. At number 1 is Pastor Creflo Dollar. If there's one pastor who perfectly embodies the prosperity gospel, the idea that God wants his people to be rich, but somehow only the pastor ends up wealthy, it's Creflo Dollar. His very last name screams money, and that's exactly what he's built his empire on. From the pulpit, Dollar tells his followers that if they have enough faith and give enough money, God will bless them financially. But in reality, it seems like the only one getting rich is him. With a multi-million-dollar fortune, luxury homes, private jets, and a fleet of expensive cars, Dollar has turned his ministry into a financial machine. At World Changers Church International, the headquarters of Dollar's ministry, thousands of people fill the seats every Sunday, ready to hear his message of prosperity. But before they can receive their blessings, they must first give. Dollar preaches that tithing, giving 10% of your income to the church, is mandatory for financial success. He's reportedly told his followers that if they don't tithe, they're robbing God. This fear-based approach keeps millions of dollars flowing into his ministry, allowing him to live in luxury while his followers struggle. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 99% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Creflo Dollar made headlines when he asked his congregation to donate $65 million for a Gulfstream G650 private jet. He claimed he needed it to spread the gospel worldwide. The backlash was fierce. People wondered, why does a pastor need one of the most expensive private jets in the world? But instead of backing down, Dollar doubled down. He defended the request, saying, if Jesus was on earth today, he wouldn't be riding a donkey. He'd be flying in style. Eventually, he got his jet, and just like that, his followers proved that they were willing to finance his high-flying lifestyle. Dollar doesn't just own a church. He owns a real estate empire. He has multi-million-dollar mansions in Atlanta and New Jersey, and he lives in absolute luxury. While his followers are told to wait on God for financial breakthroughs, he's buying more property and securing his wealth. His real estate investments ensure that even if donations stopped tomorrow, he'd still be living comfortably. Dollar isn't just a pastor, he's a brand. He has written books on wealth, success, and faith, all promising to unlock financial blessings. And of course, his congregation and supporters buy them by the millions. He also hosts expensive conferences where people pay hundreds of dollars to learn biblical financial principles. But the real secret to wealth? Being the one charging for the lessons. On top of that, he sells DVDs, CDs, and branded church merchandise, all marketed as tools to help people grow spiritually and financially. But at the end of the day, it's just another revenue stream for him. Dollar is known for his collection of luxury cars. While he tells his followers to trust God for financial success, he's driving around in Rolls-Royces, Bentleys, and top-tier Mercedes. Somehow, his supporters don't question why their pastor, who doesn't run a traditional business, has the lifestyle of a Fortune 500 CEO. They just keep giving, convinced that their blessing is coming next. One of the biggest reasons Creflo Dollar stays rich is because he understands human psychology. He knows that people want to believe that if they keep giving, their situation will change. That's why he constantly tells them to sow seeds and give money to the church, promising that God will multiply their gift. And if their financial miracle doesn't happen, well, then they just didn't have enough faith. This cycle keeps them giving, hoping, and waiting while he continues living, spending, and enjoying. Next comes Bishop T.D. Jakes. Bishop T.D. Jakes is a name that commands both religious respect and business success. He's more than just a pastor. He's an author, filmmaker, real estate developer, and motivational speaker. At first glance, Jakes appears different from other prosperity preachers. He doesn't aggressively ask for money on stage. He's well-spoken, polished, and carries himself like a wise leader. But make no mistake, he's made millions from the pulpit. Jakes has built a multi-million-dollar empire with sources of income ranging from church donations to Hollywood films, real estate, books, and conferences. As the leader of the Potter's House, a megachurch in Dallas, Texas, Jakes preaches to thousands of members every Sunday. His sermons are broadcast to millions around the world, and with that global reach comes global income. Like most megachurch pastors, Jakes has mastered the art of collecting tithes and offerings. His followers give generously, believing they're supporting the church and its mission. But in reality, a huge chunk of those funds fuel his luxurious lifestyle. Jakes, of course, justifies this wealth by saying, God doesn't want his people to be poor. But somehow, the people giving him the money remain poor while he lives in luxury. Jakes is one of the most successful Christian authors in the world. His books on faith, success, and personal growth have sold millions of copies. Titles like Woman, Thou Art Loosed, and Instinct, The Power to Unleash Your Inborn Drive, have landed on bestseller lists. His book sales alone bring in millions of dollars. Then, there are the conferences. Events like Woman, Thou Art Loosed, and MegaFest attract thousands of attendees who are willing to pay hundreds of dollars per ticket. At these events, Jakes preaches, motivates, and sells more products. His brand is so powerful that even corporate executives and celebrities attend. But the truth is, these conferences are more business than ministry. They're designed to maximize profits while keeping the audience hooked. Unlike most pastors, Jakes saw the power of Hollywood early. He ventured into film production, turning his sermons into movies. Films like Jumping the Broom, Miracles from Heaven, and Heaven is for Real were all produced by Jakes. These movies, filled with Christian themes, made millions at the box office. By entering Hollywood, Jakes expanded his brand beyond the church. He didn't just reach believers, he reached mainstream audiences and big-money investors. Jakes is not just investing in faith, he's investing in land. He reportedly owns a $5 million mansion in Fort Worth, Texas, along with other properties. He has also been involved in real estate development projects aimed at helping the community. But as with many pastors, it's unclear how much these projects benefit the people versus how much they benefit his portfolio. Jakes doesn't flash his wealth as boldly as Creflo Dollar, but he still lives extravagantly. He reportedly owns several high-end cars, including a Rolls-Royce Wraith, Bentley, and Mercedes-Benz S-Class. His church once claimed he doesn't own a private jet, but reports suggest he charters them frequently. Either way, he's not a flying coach with his congregation. What makes Jakes so successful is his ability to appeal to emotions. His sermons feel more like motivational speeches than traditional church messages. He tells people that they can overcome obstacles, reach their dreams, and become successful. He mixes self-help with scripture, creating a formula that keeps his followers coming back, buying more books, and attending more conferences. And while his followers keep giving, buying, and believing, Jakes keeps growing his fortune. At number 3 is Bishop Eddie Long. Bishop Eddie Long was once one of the most powerful and influential black pastors in America. As the leader of New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Georgia, he commanded an audience of over 25,000 followers. He preached prosperity, success, and faith, but behind the pulpit, he was living a life of scandal, luxury, and deception. Long's wealth was built on the backs of his congregation. Every Sunday, he convinced his followers that God wanted them to give more. He preached that the more they sowed into the church, the more they would reap. But in reality, the only one reaping was Bishop Long himself. His followers gave millions, and he lived like a king. Long once bragged that he didn't take a salary from the church, but what he didn't mention was that the church paid him through love offerings, real estate deals, and gifts from wealthy donors. Bishop Long believed in showing his wealth. He drove a Bentley and a Rolls-Royce, wore tailor-made suits, and traveled in private jets. He once justified his riches by saying, Jesus wasn't broke. But let's be honest, Jesus didn't live in a mansion or fly around in a private jet. Long's empire began to crumble when multiple young men accused him of intimate misconduct. These men claimed that Long lured them with money, expensive gifts, and trips on private jets. The pastor, who had preached against homosexuality for years, was suddenly exposed for preying on his own followers. To silence the scandal, Long settled out of court, paying millions. But by then, his reputation was destroyed. Even after his downfall, Long continued to make money through real estate and investments. He owned multiple luxury homes and had business interests outside the church. He knew that even if the church collapsed, his personal wealth would protect him. The next pastor is Bishop Noel Jones. Bishop Noel Jones is a pastor, businessman, and reality TV star. He leads the City of Refuge Church in Los Angeles, where he preaches to thousands of followers every Sunday. But Jones isn't just a preacher, he's a celebrity. He's known for his lavish lifestyle, powerful sermons, and connections to Hollywood. Bishop Jones understands that church is a business. He's never been shy about using his pulpit to build his brand. His sermons attract celebrities, politicians, and wealthy donors, all of whom give generously. And of course, his followers believe that giving to the church will bring them blessings. Jones became even more famous when he joined the reality TV show Preachers of L.A. The show exposed how megachurch pastors live. Luxury homes, expensive cars, and endless money. Jones used the platform to expand his influence, sell books, and attract more followers. Bishop Jones owns a mansion in Los Angeles and drives a Rolls-Royce. He once admitted that he enjoys the finer things in life, but insists that his wealth comes from his businesses, not the church. But let's be real, his businesses only exist because of his church connections. Jones is also known for his complicated personal life. He was in a long-term relationship with a woman named Loretta Jones, but he avoided marriage for years. Many saw this as hypocritical, since he preached about family values while living like a bachelor. Despite the criticism, Bishop Jones continues to profit from his church, books, and TV appearances. At number 5 is Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Al Sharpton is not just a preacher. He is a political activist, media personality, and businessman. While many know him as a civil rights leader, they might not realize that Sharpton has also mastered the art of making money through religion, politics, and media. He has built a career by mixing faith with activism, and that combination has made him a very wealthy man. Sharpton's career began in the church, where he honed his skills as a powerful speaker. He used his voice to rally people around social justice issues, but as his influence grew, so did his wealth. By the time he became a national figure, Sharpton had turned his name into a brand. He started organizations, wrote books, hosted TV shows, and made sure that every cause he supported also benefited him financially. Sharpton founded the National Action Network, a civil rights organization that fights against racial injustice. On the surface, it sounds like a noble cause.
We are the ones. You that are marching in Selma, you that are marching all...
However, over the years, questions have been raised about how the money flows inside the organization. In 2014, reports revealed that Sharpton was paying himself a six-figure salary while the organization was in debt. Despite this, corporate sponsors continued to donate millions because Sharpton's influence in politics made him a valuable ally. Sharpton realized early on that the media could be just as profitable as the pulpit. He became a regular on news networks, eventually landing his own show, Politics Nation, on MSNBC. His media presence kept him in the public eye and brought in even more money. He also wrote books, gave paid speeches, and made sure that his brand as a civil rights leader translated into financial success. Sharpton lives well. He is often seen in custom-made suits, riding in luxury cars, and traveling on private jets. He rubs shoulders with politicians, celebrities, and billionaires. Despite once owing millions in unpaid taxes, he still manages to live like a rich man.
With Lauren, she was very good-natured about it and all of that.
Sharpton's wealth doesn't come from just one source. It's a combination of religion, activism, politics, and media. He understands that influence is power, and power attracts money. People continue to support him because they believe in his mission. But at the end of the day, Sharpton has turned activism into a business empire. The next pastor will shock you, but before we reveal how he turned into the millionaire miracle seller, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell for more interesting videos like this. At number 6 is Prophet Shepherd Bushiri. When it comes to pastors who have turned faith into a fortune, Prophet Shepherd Bushiri is one of the most controversial. Originally from Malawi, Bushiri built a religious empire in South Africa through his church, the Enlightened Christian Gathering. He claims to be a prophet, a man chosen by God to deliver miracles. But while his followers struggle to survive, Bushiri lives like a king. Bushiri's main source of wealth comes from selling miracles. He convinces his congregation that he has the power to heal the sick, bless the poor with money, and even raise the dead. People travel from all over the world to attend his crusades, hoping for a breakthrough.
Oh my God, I command you, you are in.
But there's a catch. His miracles are not free. Bushiri sells anointed water, holy oils, and prayer cloths, all promising supernatural blessings. His church rakes in millions from desperate believers who think giving money to the man of God will change their lives. Bushiri is not just a pastor, he is a businessman. He owns real estate, a hotel chain, a mining company, and even an airline. While preaching humility, he flies in private jets, drives Rolls-Royces, and owns multiple mansions across Africa. He once claimed that his wealth comes from his businesses, not the church. But if that were true, why do his church members constantly donate money to fund his extravagant lifestyle? Like many wealthy pastors, Bushiri has faced multiple fraud and money laundering charges. South African authorities accused him of stealing millions from his followers through fake investment schemes. When it became clear that he would be arrested, he and his wife fled the country and returned to Malawi. Despite all the accusations, he still has thousands of loyal followers who believe he is a true prophet. Bushiri is proof that religion can be one of the most profitable businesses in the world. He knows how to use faith to manipulate people, and as long as people keep believing in him, his bank account will continue to grow. The next pastor is Reverend Jasper Williams, Jr. Reverend Jasper Williams Jr. is not just a preacher, he is a businessman who turned funerals into a financial empire. For decades, he has been the pastor of the Salem Bible Church in Atlanta, Georgia. But what really made him famous was his ability to deliver powerful, emotional funeral sermons that drew national attention. Williams became a household name when he delivered Aretha Franklin's funeral eulogy in 2018. But before that, he had already made a career out.
Until black people start respecting black lives.
Of preaching at high-profile funerals. Many families request him to deliver funeral sermons because of his reputation and speaking style. But his services don't come cheap. He reportedly charges large fees for speaking at funerals, knowing that people in grief are willing to pay for what they believe is a proper send-off for their loved ones. Aside from funerals, Williams profits from the traditional megachurch business model. His church collects millions in tithes and offerings each year, and he has built a comfortable fortune from his role as pastor. He encourages followers to give generously while he enjoys the luxury lifestyle that comes with running a successful religious organization. Williams is also a businessman outside the church. He earns money from speaking engagements, gospel albums, and partnerships with funeral homes. His name carries weight in the religious community, and he uses that influence to continue expanding his wealth. At number 8 is Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams. Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams is one of Africa's richest and most influential pastors. The founder of Action Chapel International, he has built a global religious empire that brings in millions every year. While his church started in Ghana, he now has branches all over the world, including in the U.S. and Europe. Duncan Williams is famous for his powerful prayers and prophetic messages. He convinces followers that his prayers can break curses, bring success, and open financial doors.
I think one of these days I should make you see the qualification of entering heaven and the people who will not enter heaven.
But of course, these prayers often come with a seed offering. People give huge amounts of money, believing that their financial blessings depend on it. Duncan Williams doesn't just rely on the church for money. He is a businessman with investments in real estate, media, and even banking. His close connections to politicians and business leaders have helped him expand his wealth and influence. As expected, Duncan Williams enjoys a life of luxury. He flies on private jets, owns multiple mansions, and lives like a billionaire. Despite criticism, he continues to preach about financial breakthroughs while enjoying the wealth that his followers fund. Next comes Pastor Jamal Bryant. If there's one pastor who knows how to mix religion, business, and politics, it's Pastor Jamal Bryant. As the leader of New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia, Bryant has positioned himself as both a spiritual leader and a social activist. But behind the fiery sermons and political speeches, there's a financial empire that keeps him living in luxury. Jamal Bryant understands the power of influence. He uses his platform to speak on racial injustice, economic inequality, and political reform. But while his followers believe he's fighting for the community, his bank account tells another story. Bryant is known for hosting expensive conferences, selling books, and pushing prophetic seed donations.
Maya Angelou said, if you don't pick up people's criticisms.
His church attracts thousands of members, many of whom give generously, believing that their contributions will bring them blessings. Unlike other pastors who try to hide their wealth, Bryant embraces it. He reportedly earns a six-figure salary from his church, but that's just the beginning. He has investments in real estate, luxury cars, and high-end properties. His lifestyle includes designer suits, first-class flights, and exotic vacations. For someone who claims to fight for the poor, he certainly doesn't live like them. Bryant's career has been marked by controversy, including multiple affairs and children born outside of marriage. But despite the scandals, he always manages to bounce back, rebrand himself, and continue making money. At number 10 is Reverend Ike. Before today's wealthy pastors flew private jets and lived in mansions, there was Reverend Ike, the man who pioneered the idea that faith could make you rich, especially if you were the preacher. Reverend Frederick J. Cotter II, known as Reverend Ike, preached a unique version of Christianity that told people the lack of money is the root of all evil. He didn't just talk about prosperity, he lived it. Reverend Ike preached that God wanted people to be rich. He promised his followers that if they had enough faith and gave generously, they too would experience wealth and success. His sermons were filled with bold claims, telling people that poverty was a choice. And while he told them they could be rich,
if you establish a goal, if you establish a purpose, if you make a decision,
he was the only one actually getting richer. Reverend Ike didn't just rely on church donations. He was one of the first televangelists to create a massive mail-order business. He sold everything from prayer cloths to cassette tapes filled with miracle messages. People sent in checks, money orders, and even cash just to get a piece of his so-called blessings. While his followers struggled financially, Reverend Ike was living like royalty. He owned several Rolls-Royces, multiple homes, and expensive jewelry. He even bought an old theater in New York and turned it into his church. People didn't seem to mind because he convinced them that his wealth was proof that God's blessings were real. Even after his death in 2009, his teachings influenced a whole new generation of millionaire pastors. His message was simple: the best thing you can do for the poor is not to be one of them. And for him, that philosophy worked perfectly. We've just uncovered how some of the most influential black pastors turn faith into fortune, building empires on the backs of their devoted followers. But what exactly do they spend all that money on? Check out our video on Exposed: How Black Pastors Spend Their Millions.